So now, if we're soloing with these different scales, but we're moving in a block sort of fashion, playing, you know, maybe a Dorian like, then we go up to this one, and we're doing this block position shifting. It's not very smooth. So the point of this lesson here is to get phrases that flow between one key to the next. And how we can do that is this sort of mode mapping approach, where we can reduce things down and figure out how they relate to one another. Okay, so for example, let's take the A Dorian. That's related to G major or G Ionian. So you have G Ionian, A Dorian, get your pencils, B Phrygian, C Lydian, D Mixolydian, E Aeolian, F sharp Locrian, and G Ionian. Okay, so those are all the modes that are in the family that will be A Dorian. So over top of the A minor 11 chord, we can play the G Ionian, the A Dorian, the B Phrygian, the C Lydian, so on. So now let's figure them out for the C Dorian, for the C minor 11 chord. That's related to B flat Ionian. So that's going to be a B flat major, the C Dorian, D Phrygian, E flat Lydian, F Mixolydian, G Aeolian, A Locrian, and B flat Ionian. So those are the scales you can play over that particular chord to maintain that Dorian flavor. So if you look at this, it's just an interesting point, and whenever you're looking at chord progressions that are unusual, if you can find little neat tricks inside them, it could be helpful. When I look at this particular one, I see A minor, we'll just call it A minor for now, to a C minor. Well, if we look at what the modes are, and we know that in the A Dorian, we're playing with G Ionian here, G major, and for the C Dorian, we're in B flat Ionian, which is B flat major. Well, the relative minor of B flat major is G minor. So that's the parallel or tonal minor to the other keys. So if we have A Dorian is equated to G major, C Dorian, you can relate it to G minor. And that's really interesting when you're playing a fingering. Even if you're just in one position here, you're playing your familiar major scale, and you just drop into your familiar minor scale on the other, when the key changes, and your phrase will flow smoothly from one key to the next. And of course, while you're paying attention to target tones of the chord tones there, that'll help your phrases make a lot more sense. So now let's map this out so we can do this from any position. So what I like to do is place the letter names from each of the two series of modes that we just figured out for each of these chords next to each other and see what's the closest. So what I mean by that is, if we take our first chord, the A minor chord, which we're going to use A Dorian, we decided to go with the G major series of scales, G Ionian, A Dorian, B Phrygian, C Lydian, D Mixolydian, E Aeolian, F sharp Locrian, then G Ionian again. And then we have the C Dorian, which is the B flat major series of modes, B flat Ionian, C Dorian, D Phrygian, E flat Lydian, F Mixolydian, G Aeolian, A Locrian, and B flat Ionian again. If we compare the two, let's say for example the G Ionian. Well, in the first key, that is closest to the G Aeolian in the next key. So when you're soloing, if you're thinking in Ionian mode, when the key shifts, go to your Aeolian mode. If you happen to be in this position, the Dorian position, the A position, when you make your key change, the closest A position scale in the next series for the other chord, for the C minor chord, would be the A Locrian. So you'll shift to your A Locrian fingering. Okay, let's say you're playing around a B Phrygian position in the over top of the first chord. And then you do your shift. Well, what's the closest one in the other one? Well, we don't have a B, but we have a B flat, and that would be the B flat Ionian. So it puts us right into the place we need to be for the next key. So we can keep running up. Let's do a couple more examples. Let's say we're in the C Lydian position over this first chord. So we're up in here. Then when we do our key change, where's our nearest C? Well, that would be a C Dorian, which is the main focus of where we're at anyway. Okay, and then let's do the next one, D. Okay, so at this point we'd be in a D mixolydian sort of position up here in the 10th fret. And then when we go over to the next key, we're into a D Phrygian. So you can keep that going. So you just, if you can do these shifts quickly in your head, I know it seems like a lot of information, but after a while, if you can find these tricks, major to minor shifts, and you can work this stuff so it becomes a bit of osmosis through a lot of practicing, you can just do these little subtle shifts to make the key changes. For example, if I'm in this basic position, playing my G iron here, now I'm in my G minor scale right there. Up to my major again. Then you switch it over, so when you're over this chord, we go to this. So I'm going to do a little jam along with the jam track here, and just show you a couple examples very slowly of what the shifts might sound like. This particular jam track is an A minor 11 to the C minor 11, like we've been talking about. You'll want to try this with other progressions. It'll take a little bit of working out at first, but with practice, a little time, you'll find some neat connections. Okay, so here we go. We're in the first key. Now shift. Now we're going to shift again. So I know that was a lot of information to play with, but I hope you took some notes. Not watch the video again and take a few notes and try it out for yourself, and come up with some other progressions, some freaky chord changes, and see how you can weave lines in and out through the different tonal centers. Cheers, have fun.